How's it going, guys and girls? My name is Callum X. Welcome back. Here is the Icarus Week 8 content update, which focuses a lot on the map and some other gameplay changes, but they've also responded to a lot of questions and why they're not actually being implemented into the game yet, but the fact that they are coming. One of those is the RESPEC. So if you want to know about what's happening with RESPECs, then listen up. Here we go. I'm going to read through it. So it says, our focus this week is on updating the Icarus map, along with several gameplay balance changes, which includes a whole bunch of much requested fixes ranging from fish and mushroom availability. Yes, mushrooms are in, finally. To optimize performance-heavy environment assets. Several holes in the map have been patched up. Most issues with collision volumes on rocks and caves being bigger than the rock itself should now be fixed. They've removed frustrating instances where some mineral deposits could not be mined, and now there's more voxels and caves for you to actually mine. First of all, though, they go through the most requested suggestions in their suggestion box. So let's begin. It says, while we typically just talk about what's included in each week's update, this week we want to take a moment to address some of the most common issues raised on their feature upvote page and some updates you can expect to see in the coming weeks. They said they look at all the reports on feature update every week to see what the common most issues are and prioritize the dev work accordingly. The fixes might not make it into the weekly updates straight away, but that doesn't mean that they're being ignored and they're not being worked on in the background. Sometimes stuff takes time. So this is basically, they're just trying to show us that they are working on these things. It's just not ready yet. Okay, so first of all, the skippable intro. This is something that we've known on the channel for quite a while, but I know it's quite a common misconception. Obviously, they've brought it up as well, that the video for the intro is not skippable. It's actually a loading screen. So while the game is loading, the video plays. But obviously, they don't tell you that. So it's, it's obvious why it's not so obvious maybe to a lot of people, but it is a loading screen. As soon as the game has loaded, which will depend on how fast your hard drive is and how good your computer is, etc. As soon as it's loaded, you can actually skip it just by pressing anything on the keyboard. But obviously, there's nothing to tell us that. But they've actually added a text notification. So now when the loading is complete, it will actually say, press to skip. All right, but that's why you can't skip the loading screen straight away. You know what I would like? Just the ability to get rid of the music in the background while the game's loading. It's one of the things I did on Arc almost straight away, and that would be brilliant. They said that in the future they're going to add an auto skip option as well, so you can just automatically skip the loading screen as soon as it's loaded. So there you go, that's what that is. Resource balancing. Okay, so this one's quite in depth, and it's about the balancing of resources. It says the session-based, I really can't talk today. The session-based gameplay of Icarus presents many design challenges compared to traditional survival games, because it is instanced, isn't it, rather than on servers. Instead of engaging with tiers of content just once, players restart their progress dozens of times. So they've aimed to avoid arbitrary time sinks or item sinks. Finding the right balance between resource availability, ease of collection, processing time, and resource requirements can be challenging, especially at the higher tiers, where the recipes have much more complex resource chains. They've listened to your feedback about tier 3 and 4 pacing and how it feels like a grind. Everybody's saying about that, especially the electronic stuff. In this patch, we are starting the first steps of ensuring that resources are properly distributed throughout the entirety of the map to alleviate this problem. Most small and medium caves have had their voxel count increased to ensure that players are rewarded for seeking out and harvesting new caves. Voxels, by the way, is basically the spawns of things like ore and rock and stuff like that. I've lost my base. Several new caves have been added to the Riverlands, with dozens more coming across the rest of the map in the next few weeks. So we've got more caves being added to the map too. So that'll be really cool. We've also decided to spread out the electronics requirement of the fabricator and material processor to other machines in tier 4, so players aren't as front-loaded with gold requirements and can engage with the content more slowly over time. The electric carpentry bench, masonry bench, material processor, and chemistry bench have all had their recipes expanded and have started to become points of consolidation for crafting recipes from lower tiers, which is cool. So you can craft lower tier recipes in the higher tier benches, which has always baffled me why that wasn't the case. Like, why do you need the lowest tier stuff when you've got the highest tier stuff? But there you go. They've consolidated that. These changes are just the beginning. Expect further balance iterations as we monitor the impact on your gameplay. So there's more coming, which is good. So keep those upvotes going in. Don't think you're being ignored. You are not. They're just super busy fixing the game. Talent points limit and RESPEC. This is the thing everybody's interested in, I think, or at least 90% of you from what I've heard and seen in the comments. This is by far the most talked about suggestion among our player community and is a big discussion topic internally within the Rocketworks team as well. Currently, you have a limited number of talent points and stop earning them when you reach level 40. We all know this. While you can specialize in particular talent trees, you can't change your mind or try new strategies without creating a brand new character. It's very frustrating. However, it says we do intend to provide some way to respec or change how you've spent talent points at some stage, but it could have widespread consequences if it's not done right. The specifics of exactly where it slots into the game are still at the design stage. Please continue to be patient. Once news is available, we'll definitely be loud about it. Okay. I mean, like, for me, I just think, you know, it's all about exotics, right? This thing's all about exotics. So just make it something that you have to do using a lot of exotics. Just an idea. Anyway, inventory sorting. This is another popular request that they're currently testing internally, testing out which criteria will be most useful, like sorting by name or weight, and this will be available in a future update. Good. People who want to hold a pickaxe and a lantern because caves are dark, and at the moment you drop your torch on the floor and then you catch on fire. It's a nightmare. Says our plan to tackle this request is to add an entirely new slot to your character inventory. This will allow you, among other things, to attach a lantern to your belt, ideal for mining in caves at night. So that's really cool. And the armor blocking the camera bug, which we've had for quite a long time now, especially when you die and then you come back and you're still wearing your armor, and yeah, and it's blocking your view. It says character rig can get stuck in a state where some armor pieces block your view. They're updating the character animation process, which should address many of these cases and let us audit that the armor sets play nicely. But obviously, keep those bug reports coming in. Right, so the stuff above, a lot of those that we've just read through are work in progress, as I've said. They're not doing them, or they're not ready yet, but they are doing them. So that's good to know, especially the thing about the respec. But now, of course, we go through the changelog and see exactly what is in the update that you guys have just received today. So first of all, they've added crops to outposts. Finally, I can see danger in the background, like just screaming and jumping in the air. They've added crops to outposts. They've added mushrooms to Arctic caves. So mushrooms are now in the Arctic caves. Go find them. They've increased the quantity of mineral deposits in many caves to increase the overall availability of resources. Added first pass of new cave locations. As we've said, there are new caves. Go find them. Created new recipe sets for tier 4 crafting benches, including the electric carpentry bench, electric masonry bench, chemistry bench, which combined multiple lower tier recipes into the new machines. So you should be able to make the lower tier recipes in those ones. They fix the crafting bench recipes not properly accounting for stats, which reduce resource costs. They've added several recipes to the carpentry bench that fit the theme of home construction from the crafting table and player crafting. So in the carpentry bench, you'll be able to craft more blueprints than you could before. Not new ones. These are ones that were already available, but now you can make them in the crafting bench. They've increased the crafting queue from 5 to 10 entries on tier 4 benches. Decreased the cost of early tier 4 bench recipes. So decreased the fabricator electronics from 60 to 30 and removed steel ingots as a requirement. They've changed the material processor from 80 to 60. They've increased the electronics cost of the electric masonry bench and the carpentry bench and the chemistry bench to 20. Minor other changes to secondary resources in tier 4 machine recipes as well. You guys have to go and check those ones out and let everyone know down below. Added new alternate recipes for composite paste, which can substitute gold requirement with platinum. So you don't have to only find gold. You can actually do a mixture of gold and platinum and hopefully take less time doing it and it'd be less of a grind. They've reduced player crafting speed to be more in line with benches. They've decreased the crafting speed of stone and concrete for building pieces, most mortar and pestle recipes, and the herbalism recipes. Right. They've added text to indicate when loading is complete and the intro video is skippable, like we've said before, along with a option in the future coming to get rid of it completely. Fixed several gaps in the terrain. They fixed issues where bosses could sometimes not spawn in Broken Arrow Recovery. Moved wild squash plants from the forest to the desert. So that's why there's no squash in the forest anymore. They're in the desert. Removed some instances of trees placed inside mountains. Fixed an issue where rivers could flicker in certain lighting conditions. Fixed an issue with problematic drop ship locations. Fixed several caves that were missing resource deposits and other cave functionality as well. Fixed some caves not using their biome-appropriate assets. Fixed visual issue caused by ambient occlusion, which is a graphic effect on foliage at certain distances. They've improved both visuals and performance on some rock assets. Improved performance on triplanar shader. Fixed issue with which is causing players to be incorrectly flagged as inside a cave at a specific location. Improved performance of desert rocks. So that should, for those guys who are struggling to have the game run nicely, that should help, especially when you're in the desert. Fixed issues preventing fish from spawning correctly in many water bodies, so many lakes. Should now have fish spawning properly. Improved visuals of distant terrain on outposts. We're nearly there. Added more sand to the desert. Do we need more sand in the desert? Improved shadow performance in caves. Improved collisions for some cave rocks to reduce instances where players could not reach the entirety of mineral deposits. And they've improved the performance of in-game map screen. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Anyway, that's a lot of fixes this week. That is a lot of fixes. One of them is mushrooms. One of them is crops in outposts. Both of those are, I'm sure, going to be very, very well received. And hopefully we'll be getting a respec at some time soon, but at least we know they're working on it. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Go out and enjoy the game. Don't die by the bears. If you enjoyed yourself, don't forget to subscribe and like the video for more. And I'll speak to you another time when I've fixed my brain, because, oh, my God, that was tricky. I'll see you later.